Ladies and gentlemen, this is great news, very interesting, and Trump says he'll campaign against Murkowski in Alaska next year. Now go to 270 to win. Last time Alaska voted Democrat in a presidential election was 1964. It's a red state. And it's interesting that you have Lisa Murkowski. Let's just read this. CNN. The trusted name in news. Trump says he'll campaign against Murkowski in Alaska next year. So you have Ben Sasse, Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins. These people vote alongside President Trump most of the time, 75 to 80 to 90% of the time. Kinzinger and Cheney voted 90% of the time, over 90%, as did Mitch McConnell, over 90% of the time. If you go and look on 538's tracking votes in the age of Trump or the Trump era, everything's dramatic because, they didn't get their desired outcome with Madam Secretary, so they yelled and stomped their feet and had a temper tantrum for 4 years, blaming Russia for their failures. Because of Facebook ads nobody can even describe. So let's just read this. And by the way, those are claims without evidence, by the way. Those were baseless claims. Simply saying that a GOP Senate panel confirmed an assessment is meaningless. It's like saying, it is my belief that Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. Okay, I've confirmed that by a panel of experts. That's meaningless. You could say Bill Russell, you could say LeBron James, you could say Wilt Chamberlain. You can't confirm an opinion, which is what they did throughout the Trump-Russia tinfoil hat fantasy. The third-party tech firm confirmed. Intelligence community assessment. They never stated with certainty. They never said anything was infiltrated with certainty. When asked in Congress, when required to give any evidence in Congress, the tech firm, the intel operatives, they all bailed. Well, we don't know. There's no direct evidence. They're circumstantial. Okay, so Trump says he'll campaign against Murkowski in Alaska next year. Why did Murkowski and other never-Trumpers side with Democrats, even though they vote alongside Trump most of the time? Well, they're enamored with the media coverage. They don't like Trump's personality. Not President Trump should tone it down a bit. That doesn't mean the rebuttal to that I've seen it by some wonderful people in the comments section. Well, he had to fight back, but you're not fighting back in a platform, in a cyber reality that's tailored for Democrats. So you're not really fighting back. But here, because if you look, they derived this spiritual sustenance, this energy, this enthusiasm from Trump's tweets. Twitter is like the worst platform known to mankind. If you wanted to harness all the negativity in humanity, that would be the platform. Facebook may be second. But anyway, here, former President Donald Trump said Saturday he plans to campaign against GOP Senators Lisa Murkowski in Alaska next year when she's up for re-election, intensifying his pledges to oppose lawmakers who have bucked him. I think that it's a very, very good thing that what Trump is doing. I think that he should help primary everyone who opposed him. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I won't be doing a live stream tonight, but I'll be doing another upload before 12 p.m. Pacific this evening. I think it's very good. I think it's very good what he's doing. I will say this, okay? For every, he has a wonderful, just counterpunch. He is like a freight train. He's like a bulldozer. He's like a sledgehammer. And that works. It helped him to an extent become president. It hurt him and it helped Democrats towards the end of his tenure. He needs to start building alliances, if not an alliance or a political bridge or alliance with Ben Sasse is impossible. With Mitt Romney, it's impossible. With Murkowski, Collins, impossible. But it is possible with Mitch McConnell. It is possible, obviously, we've seen with Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. There has to be some kind of, or Nikki Haley, for example. When people watch this channel, and I have like the best people watching this channel, the most amazing viewers, I really do. Intelligent, knowledgeable, you understand politics, and you understand why President Trump is great and his missteps and things that he could have done better. You're not ideologues. My voice and the people who watch this channel are different, for example, from certain left-leaning pundits and their viewers. You have pundits with 4 million subs, 1 million subs. They vote blue no matter who. They claim to either be, progressive or socialist or whatever. It's vote blue no matter who. They don't care. They stand upon this soapbox of hypocrisy. And then when you point out the hypocrisy, they say, well, whataboutism? Yes, you should always engage in whataboutism when a Democrat or anyone on the left is claiming to be this morally virtuous, pure as the driven snow judge who's fit to condemn and cast judgment and a verdict upon you or Trump or anyone who supports President Trump. I want Americans out of never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That, I believe, is the greatest moral dilemma we face as a country. Democrats don't care. An era that started by Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, continued by President Obama, of never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, I want to end. I want Americans home. There's no need for Biden to have engaged in that foreign policy tactic. There's no need for that. There's no need for that because we shouldn't even be in that region of the world. They can't even explain. If you ask somebody, well, Trump was, he was too soft on Putin. Well, President Obama came in with a Russian reset. They have nuclear weapons. The Cold War is over. What do you want to do to Russia? What is it that Russia is doing? Well, they're undermining democratic institutions in Europe and around the world. What? How? Well, you can say the same things about other countries that Biden is very friendly with. Or that Eric Swalwell might be, He fell in love with an intelligence operative, they say, reportedly, allegedly. That's not a categorical fact, but there might be a dossier out there, but no, he's been linked to an intelligence operative. Possibly fallen in love or had a physical relationship. This intelligence operative had a nice physical relationship with Democratic mayors throughout the country. So, oh my goodness, you can't stop love. Love is a powerful, powerful force. Anyway, Democrats say, oh yes, what was I even saying? Here, what I was saying is, you have people who are ideologues. They don't like Trump. They claim that they'd be different with Mitt Romney. They wouldn't be different. They would call Mitt Romney or Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski or Ben Sasse or Kinzinger or Cheney or if any Republican that actually had political clout or the ability to impede or prevent them from implementing whatever policies they want. They would call that person a tyrant, an authoritarian, a despot. They would say that person is tearing up the Constitution. They would say, because it is the Lincoln Project playbook. That's what the early 2000s Republicans did. The Lincoln Project political operatives who were completely and utterly disgraced are the same people who said, okay, if you don't believe if you're not with us, you're against us. That's George W. Bush's mentality. They try to paint Trump as this person who demands loyalty. Nobody demands more loyalty than Democrats. So much so that they provide loyalty without any discussion. It's just a coincidence that Comey and Strzok and McCabe and Clapper did exactly what President Obama and Clinton wanted. It was a coincidence. They did it for the country, don't you know? They didn't do it for their political side. You know, John Brennan is either on CNN or MSNBC, not because he's a political operative. He's an extension of the Democratic Party. No. He's just so objective that reality gravitates towards disliking Trump. When I think it was like Stephen Colbert or one of the late night, like, oh, reality has a liberal bias. No, it doesn't. The wonderful liberals got us into Vietnam. They got us into Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's never-ending quagmires and controversies and foreign policy. Just because you think you're morally superior or intellectually advanced or, knowledgeable doesn't mean you are, and doesn't mean you possess wisdom. We don't have this era of never-ending conflict without people like Kerry and Biden and Clinton and every other good, morally superior Democrat that voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. But see, again, Susan Collins did nothing for the country. Lisa Murkowski did nothing for the country. The never-Trumpers don't do anything for the country. They vote alongside Trump, and then what they do is they further absurd narratives like Trump worked with Russia. He didn't work with Russia. The Mueller probe found nothing. No evidence, nothing. And they couldn't just say no evidence. They said the evidence was insufficient. Well, there was no evidence. If it's insufficient by nature, it's inherently... If the evidence is insufficient, that means... that statement means that there was no evidence linked to any criminal statute or any statute broken or any crime. There was no circumstantial evidence. The dossier was purchased by Clinton and the DNC. The intel operatives had it out for Trump. And I love this inability to see the reality, which is really hilarious. One of the 4 million sub-channels said, they did nothing wrong. They broke no laws. Yeah, because if they went after Clinton, you better believe they wouldn't. I mean, the same thing happened when John Radcliffe was ODNI, Director of National Intelligence, which is Clapper's job. They didn't believe John Radcliffe. They only believe the intel operatives that side with them. They disbelieve the intel operatives that side with Trump. So it's like they don't have a moral compass that actually is independent of political viewpoint or ideology. Their moral compass spins like a top, like a spinning top. And it's believe when it suits them, don't believe, and eviscerate any claim when it suits them. They're hypocrites. You should always engage in whataboutism because you're hypocrites. If you have somebody who says he's a vegan and he eats a bacon cheeseburger and a milkshake, he ain't a vegan. And he shouldn't be condemning or judging you. But that's the Democratic Party. They're downing bacon cheeseburgers and then blaming you and condemning you for not being a vegan. It's like, well, you just had an omelet, bacon cheeseburger, milkshake, and you're actually have a barbecue going with a whole bunch of hot dogs, and you're telling me that I'm not a vegan. That's the Democratic Party. They sit atop these. But see, again, what does it have to do with Trump and Lisa Murkowski? And Lisa Murkowski didn't like Trump because of Trump's personality, not because of his policies. When is the last time you heard a never-Trumper talk about Trump's policies? It's always, well, I think that he pressured Zelensky. This is wrong. You know what? This is right, Washington Post. You'll write it. And then it still doesn't work because then the liberal publications say, you know what? At the end of the day, they didn't really, or if you don't vote to convict every second, or if you vote alongside Trump they say, well, we're not going to help this person. He or she is an actual Republican. What? Yeah, exactly. The Democrats, some of them are deceived. Most of them are just opportunists when it comes to Lisa Murkowski and others. But some of them truly believe that they're going to stand up to Trump. Kinzinger, for example, and Cheney voted over 90% of the time along with Trump. So these never-Trumpers are public relations people. They like public relations. They like favorable coverage. That's it. That's all they care about is favorable coverage. That's it. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back before 12 p.m. Pacific this evening. You have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where we had state economies tanking their economy, Democrats pushing for the national economy to just, go into the, just tank. And then they say, well, we're going to stand up for your stimulus. Look what we just did. We're so great. It's like, well, yeah, we have no economy. We just recently had slowly the economy's opening up, and still they still don't want to open up the world completely. And then they say science. Well, look at the New York Times statistics. They have the worst outcomes. Look at the Bureau of Labor statistics. The Democratic states that have the worst outcomes also have the worst economy. The Republican states that were had the least draconian, least heavy-handed policies have the best economy. And they have the best per capita rates, and they have the least in terms of aggregate lives lost. I'm not making it up. Go look at, it shouldn't be a blue and red state issue, but you better believe if somebody they disagree with, loses his or her life because of the pandemic, oh my God, they're gleeful. You see, he didn't take it seriously. Well, Andrew Cuomo took it so seriously, he absolutely tanked his state. And now there are Democrats saying, my God, this person did the most despicable things. And God bless the people of New York and New Jersey. But Andrew Cuomo has to be, along with Phil Murphy, the two worst governors in this country. And I don't know how Murphy gets away. I don't know how Phil Murphy gets away with. New Jersey has the worst. God bless the people in New Jersey. They have the worst outcomes in terms of per capita, and they're almost up there in terms of aggregate lives lost. The government. How is that Trump's fault? How on earth is that Trump's fault? He doesn't run. These are Democratic-run states, virtually like a virtual monopoly on political thought. Now you have Democrats, very courageous Democrat Ron Kim, going after the most powerful Democrat in New York, and now there are accusers coming out, and now so the Lincoln Project is completely disgraced. Cuomo is completely disgraced, and the truth about him's coming out. But it's like, now you have Democrats saying, "Oh yeah, we gave the stimulus." That's not even the stimulus. That's not even the money they promised. It's not even the amount of money they promised. So the left got nothing. But you can't tank the economy because science, even though the statistics show that you preside over the worst outcomes, both economically and in terms of the crisis, and then say, yeah, we're going to help you out. Well, you prevented everyone from working. So you're the hero now? And the worst outcomes took place in the most draconian, with the most heavy-handed policies. How did that work out? Anyway, give me your thoughts below. I'll be back. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Trump is doing a great thing, but he needs to form alliances as well. Not just primary never-Trumpers. He needs to form certain alliances.